So, what is the business case for social enterprises?
So that's a great question. I think that there's this existing mentality that if you want to do something that helps the world, then you start a nonprofit, right? Like
Hmm.
that's kind of when
Hmm.
you do it through
Yeah.
philanthropy or maybe through government um, but I would say that there really is a business case
Right.
for have social enterprises can be equally, if not um, more profitable. So there are several different ways that these two can be complementary. One is that businesses with a social and environmental impact can have increased reach. It can be part of their brand, and they can um, have access to a whole new customer base because of that desire to buy from companies who have
Hmm.
a strong social or environmental impact. It also creates more customer loyalty
Hmm.
over time if it's really
Totally.
a brand that you believe in and that you trust, and customers would even potentially be willing to pay more um,
Yeah.
for for things that they believe in.
Yeah.
They have increased employee retention. So
Makes sense.
businesses with a strong social impact that they really communicate and emphasize that to their employees and engage them in. They have less turnover,
Yeah.
and can even have higher productivity.
Hello, my extraordinary women friends. I truly believe that now more than ever, women are being called to make a real difference in the world with our work. We've got the vision, we've got the wisdom, and we've got the heart to lead with impact. And the world needs what we have to offer. Whether it's creating impact through our businesses, uplifting communities, or changing industries, women are at the forefront of a new era of conscious leadership. I love the time we are living in. It's so much fun. We were born for this. And that's exactly why the Extraordinary Women Ignite conference is so special. It's a gathering of women ready to step fully into their power, to lead businesses that not only thrive, but make a lasting impact. If you're ready to walk into 2025 with a clear plan for creating more impact, more prosperity, and more joy in your business, then you've got to be there with us this October 24th through 26th in beautiful Golden, Colorado. Grab your tickets at CamiGellner.com/ignite and use the code EWR to get $200 off your ticket. I'd love to see you there. If you are about creating more impact, you want to be in this room. And speaking of impact, today I am thrilled to introduce you to Lilly Tench, who is all about using innovation and entrepreneurship to solve the world's biggest challenges. In this episode, we talk about her passion for supporting entrepreneurs doing good in the world, the incredible impact she's witnessed through her work, and my favorite part, her new book, Good Business: An Entrepreneur's Guide to Creating a Better World. Lilly has supported innovators and entrepreneurs through a clean tech accelerator at Columbia University Technology Ventures and as a member of the startup team at New Lab, a technology innovation center in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. In this episode, we dive into what it means to build a business that makes a positive difference and some of her favorite stories of innovators making waves. You are going to walk away feeling so inspired. Let's meet Lilly Tench. Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio, Lilly. It's great to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you bet. So tell us where you're joining us from today.
I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. I work
Very
at the
cool.
Spark Innovation Center, so joining from my office here today.
Excellent, excellent. I love that. And I always love to hear story first. I always like to open up with story. So, how did you become an advocate for using business to create a better world? I mean, that's such a good declaration. First of all, I believe that we can really use business to create a better world. And how did you become that advocate? That was so you were so passionate about that.
Sure, absolutely. So, I originally came from a sustainability background, so working in environmental nonprofits, and during that time, I was working in a co-working space, and I started working alongside entrepreneurs and people who were building their own business. And I found myself just so drawn to that personality type and to that approach to the world as
Hmm.
seeing opportunities or seeing problems as opportunities
Yeah.
and um, a a way to create a new solution that solves that problem, and it can also be a way to give people jobs and create opportunities. Um, and that was that was kind of my first foray into thinking like I want to support these people, and
Right.
then looking into how people are using entrepreneurs are using business to solve some of these major problems in our world, like climate change, poverty, homelessness, and there are, I mean, there's so many different approaches to solving these major problems, but I think that business is a really important one. And I personally am entirely biased, but I think that entrepreneurs are the best problem solvers, best, most efficient problem solvers.
Yeah.
So I think there's so
Yeah.
much power in turning that innovative and entrepreneurial spirit towards trying to create solutions for these major problems we're facing.
Yeah. I so agree. And I think that the heart of an entrepreneur, one wants to make a difference with their work, right? They have a
Hmm.
desire to really create a difference. And I also think that we can see the world through a different lens. Um, the way
Hmm.
we approach things, the way we get excited about things, the way we bring our passion to life around things. So I agree totally. I think entrepreneurs have just a really unique perspective on life and business in general. And
You too.
it's
I
it's
always,
really fun energy.
yeah, absolutely. And I always say that entrepreneurs, I think, are doers and dreamers. They
Yeah.
can really see that big picture and come up with crazy ideas, but they can also like do the nitty gritty and get stuff done. And I think
Yeah.
that's a
Roll up
really
our sleeves
powerful
and do it, right?
combination. Yep.
Yeah. 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 Um, yeah. When you think about some of the characteristics of entrepreneurs that you've gotten to work with, what comes to mind, that kind of what makes entrepreneurs different? I mean, what is it that makes entrepreneurs really that different creature, if you will?
Yeah, I think it's that drive to want to start something.
Hmm.
I think you just have um, that spark and that desire to create and run and start your own business. I think that if you don't have that, entrepreneurship is really hard.
Yeah.
And, so if you don't have that kind of burning drive to do it, there are so many other easier life paths. So
Yeah. No, there can
I
be. There
think
definitely
that's,
can be. I think
yeah,
because
I think,
the perseverance of an entrepreneur is incredible.
yep. So I think
Yeah.
that's at the core of it is just the kind of spark to want to do it. And that I think you kind of either have or you don't. I don't think you can
Yeah.
force it.
Yeah. No doubt. So tell us a little bit about the role that you play today. What is the role?
Sure, yeah. So I'm director of the Spark Innovation Center, and we're located at the University of Tennessee Research Park.
Hmm.
And so we work with companies who are working in advanced technology, hard tech, climate tech, clean tech. So we have lab spaces where companies can physically locate and work alongside researchers, build up shared facilities and equipment, and then we also have training programs to help commercialize
Very cool.
ideas
So are they
faster.
people that are in the university, or are they people outside of university working with the researchers within the university?
It can be both.
It can be both. Okay. Cool.
Hmm.
Very, very cool. So I've heard you say that working at the intersection of sustainable economic development and innovation, that you believe in using innovation and entrepreneurship to address the
Hmm.
world's most pressing problems. So tell us more about that belief, because I find that really interesting, and I think that our world has plenty of big problems to look at and to work with. So tell us
Absolutely.
a little bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we talked a little bit about how you know entrepreneurs can be some of the most effective and efficient problem
Hmm.
solvers,
Hmm.
and um, And I think, at the core of starting a business is the idea that you're solving a problem. You
Hmm.
found a problem and you're introducing a solution to it. And if you don't have those two pieces, you probably don't have a business. So I think business has a sort of a reputation um, in some respects to kind of try and create problems, like try to convince people that they have a problem, maybe
Hmm.
that we need this new kind of lipstick or whatever. That
Right,
maybe,
right.
was that a real problem? I don't know. We spend a lot of time convincing people that it is, a lot of money. But there actually are a lot of really large problems that, turning the power of innovation towards coming up with market-driven approaches and solutions to some of those real major problems
Hmm.
is the path that really excites me, and that I focus on supporting entrepreneurs there.
Very cool. And so somebody's listening and they're thinking, there's this big global problem that I would love to roll my sleeves up
Mhm.
into, right? It's like, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
Well, so this is actually how I started, why I decided to write this book. So I wrote this book, Good Business:
Hmm.
Entrepreneur's Guide to Creating a Better World, and that is
Hmm.
based on the thesis that entrepreneurs um, can really be powerful in addressing some of these major problems. And the motivation behind that really came from the idea of um, how to think about an approach to some of these large problems, and how to make them sustainable financially, and that there are many different kinds of business models out there
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
try to support this kind of work. And so the motivation for starting this came from there's a flow chart a couple pages in, right after the introduction, that helps you think through, like, this is the kind of solution I have, thinking through um, who needs it. So it's a little folded, little flow chart to take you through that process and land on different kind of um, business models. And then after I'd done that,
So give us an
I thought, well,
example
now I
of
want to
that.
write about each one, right?
Yeah. So give us
Sure,
an
yeah.
example of
Uh-huh.
what that, like taking something through that flow
Hmm.
chart.
Yes. The So it starts with, does your idea address a significant social or environmental problem? And if you say no, then it takes you to a section on how to integrate social and environmental impact into an existing business
Cool.
model.
So that's it. You can always think of
Um,
ways you've got your business, and if it's not addressing it, there
mhm,
might be a way, like, like a Tom's shoe, right? Has
exactly.
done
Yep.
that. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And then if you say yes, it takes you to, are there individuals that will directly benefit from your solution? And if you say yes, then it's, are they willing to pay for your solution? And then if they say yes, it's, are they able to pay for your solution?
Mm-hmm. Good
And
questions.
if yeah, so if they are, then, like, great, that's a B2C business. There's lots of ways to do social impact B2C, but it takes you to a chapter on that to kind of talk
Okay.
through them. And then if you say no, then it takes you to a section on creative financing. So
Okay.
if you have people who are willing to pay for your product or service, need it, are willing to, but they're not able to pay for as much as you need to charge.
Right.
Different kind of mechanisms to do more creative financing with that
Oh,
product.
awesome.
So those are just a few examples of
I love it. I
kind of
love it. And I
how it
like
takes
the
you through. I'll show the
yeah.
yeah.
And so for those of you who are tuning in just to the podcast, you'll have to get the book to see the picture. But
That's right.
I like the idea of you're giving people a pathway for an idea that they've got. And I think
Hmm.
that's really important to think about. If if they just get to, oh gosh, my users of that product are not going to be able to pay me, there's another option for them to really to look at. So what is the business case for social enterprises?
So that's a great question. I think that there's this existing mentality that if you want to do something that helps the world, then you start a nonprofit, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of when
Mm-hmm.
you do it through
Yeah.
philanthropy or maybe through government, um, but I would say that there really is a business case
Right.
for how social enterprises can be equally, if not more, um, more profitable. So there are several different ways that these two can be complementary. One is that businesses with a social and environmental impact can have increased reach. It can be part of their brand, and they can um, have access to a whole new customer base because of that desire to buy from companies who have
Mm-hmm.
a strong social or environmental impact. It also creates more customer loyalty
Mm-hmm.
over time if it's really
Totally.
a brand that you believe in and that you trust, and customers would even potentially be willing to pay more um,
Yeah.
for for things that they believe in. They have increased employee retention. So
Makes sense.
businesses with a strong impact, social impact that they really communicate and emphasize that to their employees and engage them in. They have less turnover,
Yeah.
and can even have higher productivity. Um, then, of course, sustainability initiatives often coalesce with savings in manufacturing and water use, energy use. So there's a lot at the intersection there, and in the book I outlined several companies that I think have been much more successful actually because of this impact being a core part of who they are. So an example here would be, have you ever heard of Greyston Bakery?
What? Say it again.
Greyston Bakery.
No, I have not heard of that one.
So they make brownies,
Mm-hmm.
and they're great brownies,
Uh-huh.
um, but that's only like one piece of what they do. They
Mm-hmm.
have a whole kind of workforce development model behind what they do. So they have an open hiring process where everyone who's interested in getting a job just goes on a list, and then every time they have a job opening, it's just the next person on the list. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
totally open hiring. They don't have an interview process. They don't have background checks, and because of that, they save a lot of money on their and time on the hiring process, but it
Mm-hmm.
gives a first or second chance to a lot of people who don't otherwise have one. And because of this social mission, they have a partnership with Whole Foods. They have been integrated into a few different kinds of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Um,
Mm.
they're really known because of that social and environmental mission.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah. That's
sustainable sourcing of
fascinating.
materials as well.
Yeah. And
Rather
it's
than
and
if
it's
they just made good brownies, then
the
have they
partnerships probably
probably
wouldn't
served
have
their
happened.
right, totally.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
They'd serve their
that
community with
yeah.
brownies, but
Yeah. And I do think that organizations that have a real strong mission and vision to create impact with their work, I mean, for
Mhm.
all the reasons you just named, like, people want to work for that organization, people want to
Yeah.
partner with that organization. Um, the more we can have that ingrained into our businesses, the more we can find ways to the expansiveness of how our work can get out there. I think it's really fascinating. I think it's really, really
Yeah.
fascinating.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I love that
They
story. I
yeah,
love,
and 94% of millennials say they want to use their skills to make an
yeah.
impact in the world
Yeah.
at this point.
I,
So
yeah.
those are employees.
Yeah, totally, totally, totally. I know you've supported a lot of innovators and entrepreneurs with the work at Columbia University and the Brooklyn Navy Yard. What's your favorite story of business doing good?
Oh gosh. Favorite, I don't know. I so in my book, every section I highlight a different company that's
Mm-hmm.
doing
Mm-hmm.
something that
Mm-hmm.
so so I feel very invested in them all, and I can't pick a favorite. But um, uh, because I come from a sustainability background, I love people who are businesses that are finding a really smart way to address maybe a sustainability issue that also is impactful to the community and has a nice full circle solution. I think I'm really fascinated by companies who can source from waste,
Mm-hmm.
for example, find
Mm-hmm.
value in waste. I One company highlighted here is this company called Finite, and they actually have created a large robotic scale way to turn uh, pig waste into sustainable fertilizer, and it's just
Cool.
it's profitable for the farmers who are before this was a problem they were dealing with. It is sustainable for the earth. It's a way to rebuild topsoil and phosphorus levels, and then it's also a profitable business.
Yeah.
So, that's just one example of having this kind of win-win-win full circle
Yeah. Yeah.
solutions
Yeah.
are always just exciting to me.
Cool. And what had you write the book now? What was the catalyst that said it's right now is the time to write this book?
Well, so that flow chart that I showed you earlier, I was, that came to me, and I was, so I made that, and I was thinking of, this is just a tool that I can use for people who are thinking about how to make their ideas financially sustainable. And then with each of those landing spots, I thought, well, I want to write some more about that, a little bit about
Yeah.
that, a little guide to using that, and then it'd probably be good to have an example of a company that's using it. And then it just
Yeah.
kind of spiraled
So
into
cool.
to
It's like it's time. It's time. All the
yeah.
stories were there,
hmm
and the work you had done. So where can people learn more about you and learn more about the book?
Uh, LillyTench.com. That's LILLYTENCH.com. And then the book, it's Good Business: An Entrepreneur's Guide to Creating a Better World, and it's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and several local bookstores.
Cool. Excellent.
So
And then the final question we always close with is what are three pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave with the listeners today?
I'm glad that you asked me that, because one of my favorite parts of this book is that a section where, out of all the interviews I did with social enterprises and founders, I pulled out just some pieces that were I saw come up again and again, and in a little lessons learned section. And so a few of those. One is that entrepreneurs who are really successful in this field, and I'd say this is across entrepreneurship, but definitely for
Mm-hmm.
social entrepreneurship as well, is to test before you build.
Mm-hmm.
So, many ways that you can test the value of your product and how it matches with what your customers need and your delivery system and your payment model and all that before you really invest in that solution and scale for the better. And so, a couple of the companies that I highlight in here. Some small ones, like a local one called Knoxville, which is a refillery, and then larger ones like New Belgium Brewery, started out of their homes first.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Mm-hmm.
then Knoxville had kind of a side shed, and New Belgium did it in their basement. And Patagonia, the founder of Patagonia, sold out of the back of his car first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a repetitive theme and lesson. Then another thing that I'd see, particularly with social entrepreneurs, is the tendency to partner with competitors.
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
love that.
and
Totally love that.
I do too, and I think that's not seen as commonly in the business world, but I think it's more common and can be really successful with social enterprises.
And
So,
even just entrepreneurship in general. I mean, I think in
hmm
my entrepreneur community, there's people who could be considered competitors who continually collaborate and work together, and it makes everybody stronger.
and it can be really profitable too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Grayston Baker, who I was talking about
Mm-hmm.
earlier, they actually started doing a consulting service to help other companies use their open hiring model.
Okay. Cool.
So that's, they make money from that as well, but it's
Yeah.
also a way to spread their impact at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Super cool.
then, and then finally, that sometimes the mission comes later.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a business already, it's not like if you didn't start it with a mission in mind, it's not like it's too late.
Oh, that's
So
so
some
true.
of the
Yeah.
really large, most impactful social enterprises that you've probably heard of, like Ben and Jerry's or Interface Carpet, they were around for like 10, 20 years
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
they decided to really lean in on the social impact part of it.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
never too late.
Oh, I love that. I love it. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you, Lily, and all the good work you're doing. And I need to get a copy of your book. It looks amazing.
Thank you.
I feel like my community is always looking to expand their impact in the work that they're doing. And I love that, you're bringing just different ways for people to look at it and through, see it through a different lens. And so thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.